Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel. I'm Julie Siomacco, owner of Southern Charm Wreaths, where we teach you the art of wreath making and faux floristry. Today, we're going to be making a fall grapevine wreath. I hope you stick around and join me. Let me know if you have any questions. And let me show you what is on our table right now. So let's see. I'm going to make sure I can see any comments. We've got people joining us. Tell us where you're watching from. Tracy from the UK. Hey, lady, how are you? Have you gone to, did you go to the UK wreath retreat? We were there. I was there this past summer. It was so fun. I was in the UK. It was in Liverpool. And we had a wreath retreat. It was really, really fun. So fun meeting everybody from across the pond. So welcome everyone and tell me where you are watching from, okay? So let's see, making sure it's working over here also on our Facebook. Alrighty, and I'm going to be able to see comments. Okay, so this is what we're going to be working. We're going to be doing a grapevine wreath. Let me show you what I have on my table right now. So we've got a lot of things going on. First, we have our grapevine wreath, 14 inches, that I just quickly took off some of the little prickly pieces that to me get stuck in the hot glue, and it's just to me worth it to go clip off a few of these little prickly pieces. The glue strings get, bad as they are on their own, and so I don't want to give more feel to it and have places where the glue gets stuck. The other thing we're going to be using are these really pretty sunflowers. So I have sunflowers, and also I love these hydrangeas. I only have two. It looks like they were a bush, but look, I only have two. So we have this, okay, and then this hydrangea. If y'all allow me to be a little bit more detailed, this is exactly what we do in our Wreath Making of the Month Club. So I'm just going to be a little more detailed when I teach today, just so you can get a little idea of what we do when we're, coaching in the Wreath of the Month Club. So I wanted you to look at this hydrangea. Can you see the colors, okay? So we've got a little of the moss green, and then also there's just a tiny bit of lavender, just a tiny bit of lavender. So the moss green goes really well with our hydrangeas, and our sunflowers, in my opinion. And then to bring out some of that purple or the lavender, I'm pairing it with this little astilbe looking bush, right? Astilbe looking bush. And so to me, this looks just like a really pretty color palette. The other thing I'm going to work in is this pumpkin spray. So we've got some pumpkins, and check out the leaves. It's all about the coloring. For me, when I'm looking at my florals, I want to pay attention to all colors. So all colors in the flowers, all colors in the leaves, and not only that, but we're looking at elements as in texture. So we have some fluffy hydrangea leaves. We've got the spiky leaves of our sunflowers, and we've got that little fuzzy area in the center, and then we also have this spiky astilbe looking. Then the next thing we add is in our texture. So we've got berries. We've also got, I'm going to add these. I could have probably grabbed another, but I didn't. But I do have these also. I like these berries as well. And then just some greenery to fill in. Let me get a container to put all this in. I love fall. Like, to me, fall is one of the best holiday seasons to, decorate for. I find that it's also fun for me to do a little different color palette. I'm not saying I don't like traditional, but it's just, we don't always have to do the same old, same old. The other thing I'm going to use is this ribbon. All right, so this is our ribbon combination for this project, and I think we can make something really pretty with this. What do y'all think? What do y'all think? Hello, Andy. Hey, girl, I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome, Maureen. Comment and tell me, what are y'all up to today? What are we working on? Are we crafting? Are you sneaking a video from work? What's going on with you? It's going to be gorgeous. Yes, I can't wait. All right, so we got a few little pieces of greenery. So let me go ahead. This is the wreath, one of the wreaths that I did this month in our Wreath of the Month Club group. It's got examples of what I was just talking about. We have the color palette, we have texture, we have established our form, we have the, we've established also line of sight. So that's really pretty. It's got so much in it. And it's made on a Christmas base. Yeah, you could turn your Christmas wreaths into any season you want it to be. All right, so let me put that out of the way. Clear off my easel. Put my wreath up here. So when I am looking at my wreath, I am looking for the area that's best for my silk flowers, okay? So one of the things that I talk about in our Wreath of the Month Club, I wish I had brought my wreath home that we made last night. It was so pretty. But one of the things I'm always talking about in our Wreath of the Month Club is if your wreaths don't look the way you want them to, like perfectly round, just go with it. You know what I mean? Don't fight the process, okay? So for me, when I'm looking at this wreath, I'm trying to discern where my design is going to be. I personally love the crescent shape. It's one of the easiest wreaths to master if you're just getting started in silk flowers or wreath making with silk flowers. Maybe you're trying to move out of deco mesh and more into silk flowers. The crescent shape wreath is the one I would suggest to everyone to just begin with. We have some really good tutorials in our Wreath of the Month Club that do this. We also have a little recipe card that you can just download and keep, and you know exactly how many flowers and what the bow loop sizes need to be. And once you have a basic recipe, you can change the color for any season, right? So it could be spring, it could be fall, it could be winter, it could be Christmas, it could be any holiday or season, once you have established a good formula, all right? So what I'm doing is I'm looking at this wreath and I'm trying to see where is the pretty side, okay? Because I want a lot of it to be showing. So this, to me, is very, not perfectly round. And then you have this side over here that seems a little more symmetrical. So I'm just going to turn it right like that. Okay, so I love how pretty that is. So I'm okay with this side showing, and then this might be the side that I work on. All right, so what I do is I lay my flowers down, and as soon as you start to lay your flowers and your stems down, what's happening is it's going to mask the side of the wreath that is not symmetrical, okay? So it's sort of an optical illusion. You're really just covering it up and making the symmetrical design with or shape with your florals that you add, okay? So that's the side, this is the side I want to use. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put this up on my easel, making sure that I know which side I want to use, okay? So I'm just going to lay this up here on my easel. Okay, now what I want to do is my bow. So you can do, bows are personal, in my opinion. You can do as many loops as you want. We teach in our Wreath of the Month Club, we have extensive bow making tutorials where it is slow and methodical, and we use a bow maker and we use hand tied, so you can kind of pick your poison, if you will. All right, let me get some wire. I use a 22 gauge wire. For me, it's just the best for, it's strong enough to hold its shape, but it's not so stiff that you can't twist it, and it doesn't hurt my fingers. Does that make sense? All right, so let's get my scissors, and I'm gonna get my ribbon holder. I do love using my little ribbon holder that I bought from Hot Mash Mom back in the day. All right. Sometimes ribbons don't fit on it, but A lot of times they do. We have our 2.5 inch wired. We have our 1.5 inch wired, and we have this cute little 5/8 inch. And this is also, is this wired? Yes, wired. All right. Hello, Kim. Hi, Tracy. Welcome. We are making a grapevine wreath. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, so this is a faux dupioni, faux silk. You don't want to dovetail this because it will start to unravel. So what I like to do is just fold it under a few times so that it doesn't unravel. All right, and what I'm going to do is grab my ribbon. I'm going to measure out, I'm going to just go ahead and measure out about 20 inches, I think. 20 inches. Is this 14? This seems small. Oh, it's a 16. I meant to grab a 14. We'll make do. I was like, this looked bigger than what I thought. All right. So we're going to take about 20 inches. So I'm using my self-healing cutting mat to measure out. And what I do is I just pinch and pleat into my 2 fingers. Okay. And then I lay it down on the mat again, and we're going to measure to the 12 inch. And then I'm going to take it away from me and pinch and pleat. So when I say that your bows are personal, this is when I feel like you can make any ribbon combination, any number of loops, any size of loops that you want. What you're trying to do is make sure that your bow is in scale with your overall design, your finished wreath, okay? So we're doing 3 loops. I'm going to go ahead and do 3 loops that are 12 inches. So if you're making your bow on a bow maker, that would be a 6-inch loop, okay? And twist towards me. Every time I twist, in order to get my loops to stand up just a little bit more, let's go ahead and cut that. All right, now you can add any amount of loops or streamers after you've made your wreath, okay? So if you figure out that you have too many loops or not enough loops, all of this can be adjusted after you finish your wreath. So don't think that you can't fix anything, okay? Once the wreath is made, there's really nothing you can't mess up that you can't fix. All right, so we're going to do another 12 inches. So I'm making now moving on to my 1.5 inch ribbon, put it into my 2 fingers, and then we're going to rotate, twist away from me, and then lay it down on the mat to 12 inches, take it away from me, pinch and pleat, and then we're going to twist towards me, and I'm going to lay it down on the mat to 12 inches, and then take it away from me, okay? Is Lori Ann still live today? Yes, 12:30. Yes, ma'am. She'll be live in the Wreath of the Month Club group. What time is it? Yep, so we got about 30 minutes or so, 30, 40 minutes. She'll be live in our Wreath of the Month Club group. All right, so I'm going to move now these ribbon loops over top, okay? Now, if you want to start with the top and then go with the bottom, you can definitely do it. There's no right or wrong way. So I feel like I need some of that mossy green towards the back, and so all I'm going to do is add a couple of ribbon streamers back here. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to keep them that long, but I just like adding them. All right, so now let's move on to our 5/8 inch. Good morning, San Antonio. Hey, Catherine from Virginia, how are you? All right, so here, isn't that pretty? This is really lacy and pretty. I love that this is going to probably bring in that creaminess. One quick tip for you die-hard wreath makers, Swiss dot ribbon is one of those ribbons that you can't tell if it works with white and cream, okay, just so you know. white or cream. I'm going to go ahead and do 12 inches again. There's one. Twist, 12 inches again. 2. All right, I'm going to just go ahead and do one more. Then I'm going to decide, do I want to do another loop? I just like to feel it. Decide what's working for me. So you notice that when I did my second ribbon, we started in the opposite direction, and what happened is we did 3 loops so far of every ribbon that we've added. 3 loops. The first loop, or the first ribbon that we added, we had 2 loops on one side of our thumb and 1 loop on the other side. And then when we put in the 1.5 inch, we reversed it. So then that gave us even loops on both sides. So now we added another 3 inch. Let's see, where is my, there we go. I mean, another 3 loop bow. And here is where I'm going to decide, do I want to add in one more little loop? Let's do a little more of a length. So we got about a 10-inch length of a streamer. And then we're going to put this to the 10. So now we're making this loop just a little smaller. And that's going to bring that in and try to close up that gap. There we go. Don't be afraid to try new things. We were talking about that in our Wreath of the Month Club all the time, and then in our swag class. You know, people say all the time, how you're so good at this stuff. And I'm like, well, I have been doing this for 15 years. It's taken me 15 years to get quick. And I'm just going to make sure it's all fluffy and pretty before I tie off with my wire. Is that a particular ribbon pattern? Yes, the Swiss dot, that's what they call that. That one ribbon with all of the little polka dots, they call that a Swiss dot. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over and I'm going to tighten it up. Pull the bow towards you and the wire away from you at the same time twisting. Now here you have a really fun bow. All you have to do, hey Misty, girl, how are you? All you have to do is change this up for any season, right? This could be a Halloween with orange and black. This could be Christmas, right, with red and green. So this bow style right here can be for any holiday or any season just by changing up your ribbon selections. All right, so here is our bow, and I'm going to go ahead and add this to our wreath. So let me see, we wanted to try to cover up this area, so let me move it a little bit more. And I want to just lay this on here so I can roughly see where I want my bow to go, all right? And the trick with your bows for adding them to a grapevine wreath is to go through the grapevine, not around it. If you take your wires around the grapevine, what happens is you cinch up that grapevine as you tighten the wreath, the bow to the wreath, and then it's hard to get stems in. So I just go through a couple of little strands all the way to the back, and then I'm going to pull this as tight as possible and secure it. This is another reason why I like to clean up the back. Your wire will get caught in all those little pieces. When you tighten the bow to the wire, do you twist the bow? No, let me think for a second. No, you twist the wire. You don't twist the bow. You twist the wire. If you twisting the wire makes it tighter. Great questions. Okay, so now at this point, I'm just going to look at my streamers and see where are they. So here's one I had long. I also had this one long. So I'm going to decide, do I want to just pull that down this one. Move my center. Remember, my center was back over here. And honestly, I'm liking it. I might make this shorter in just a few minutes, but for right now, I like this. I'm going to go ahead and either dovetail or fold my edges. The ones that unravel, you're just going to fold those in. Okay. Dovetail. If you are interested in joining our Wreath of the Month Club, we are now enrolling new students, new members. We're open until Friday, okay? If you like learning about this. All things floral. One of the things I pride myself on is the teaching. I try to teach you the whys instead of just follow along, right? Instead of just copying what I'm doing. I'm trying to teach you a why of what the method is. So if you could see that the bow is in really good proportion to the wreath. Now you could have made this slightly larger if you wanted to. I do personally like an airiness to the ribbon or my bows. I like my bows to be in almost like a, it's not the focal is what I'm trying to say. I see a lot of wreath makers who make these massive bows, and that is fine, but that's when you want your bow to be the focal. For me, my focal is going to be my flowers. So that's why I like my bow to just be very airy and, you know, not such a huge part of it. Okay, so now we're going to add our florals. So this is what we call a spray, okay? You know it's a spray when you turn it around and you have all these little branches. So you have a pick or a spray, okay? So a spray is basically a couple of picks wired together, making it a little longer. So sometimes you find the same materials in something shorter, which would be a spray, and then you have the longer option, which is, a pick, and then you have the longer option, which is a spray. Just gonna fluff this. Always fluff. Always make sure that you are just bringing it to life. That's the other thing that is going to make your silk flower wreath look authentic, okay? Like a real fresh wreath. One that you don't have to worry about wilting in the sun. You don't have to water. It's going to last you for years to come. Your customers, if you sell them, are going to be so happy that they bought a quality wreath that just lasts. Okay, now I'm looking at this just to make sure. This one is twisting just a little bit, but I think once we get, see how it just goes a little wobbly? I think once we get it onto our design, we can fix that. All right, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut. There is a little area where the stems are wrapped, and then it stops. Like the stems stop, and then what they have underneath is just a stem for an extension. So right where those stems stop, there's this little notch, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut right there on both of these. Okay. So we've done that, and now we're going to add these to our design. When we're looking at adding our florals to our wreath, we're going to use our bow as our transition point. So the transition point is where your eye switches gears. So at one point your eye is flowing down, right? And then there's this transition that happens, and even though your eye is still flowing down, the elements are in a separate direction, okay? So anything that we add above the bow goes in towards the ground, okay? So the stems go down towards the ground. Anything that we add below the bow, the stems go towards the ceiling. And one thing to consider, this is why we put our bow through the grapevine wreath and not around it, because we actually need to put stems through that grapevine behind that bow. If you were to make it too tight, it would just bind up and you wouldn't have enough room, Okay, so now we have, let me show you what I mean. When I put this behind the bow, it looks like I'm going to be putting it this way, these ends touching, but they're not. Behind the bow, they're actually going to be like this, side by side. Okay, so this is going to go on one side and this is going to go on the other side, just so that they're not you don't want them touching like this. It's going to be an illusion. They're really behind the bow going side by side. That way you can sink them in a little bit deeper. You want to keep your stems relatively long so that they have that balance. What am I trying to say? You don't want them to like wobble and fall out, so you need a good distance on your stem. And all I'm doing over here is just dipping it in some glue. Right, so this is my glue pot. It's got my melted glue to the consistency of honey. And I'm going to go to my wreath now, and I'm going to always take my glue strings to the back of the wreath, and I'm going to insert. So I'm just moving this down. I'm trying to get it a little bit closer to the wreath. And see, I need to go with the grapevine of the wreath. We don't want it to be wobbly. So let me reposition. Okay. There we go, maybe. All right, I think that's good. And now I'm just gonna, don't worry about messing up your bow, okay? It's wired ribbon. The one thing you want to avoid is covering your elements of your pumpkins and your leaves with your bow. So you're trying to find this really happy place where you have your bow loops and then your pumpkin is there not being hidden. And so at the top, you can see that the spray is poking out just a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to secure this closer to the wreath. We don't want this wobbling back and forth, right? Especially on the door when you have to open and close the door. And let's be honest, sometimes we slam that door when we're a little angry, or if you have teenagers who are always angry. I'm going to use a little piece of bind wire, okay? So it is just a very, very thin wire. You probably can't even see it. You could still use florist wire if you want, but this bind wire, what it's going to do is it's going to blend in with the wreath. So I'm just going to twist this a little bit. And I'm going to find where I want this to be secured. And then I'm going to go through the grapevine wreath. Remember, not around, through. And sometimes it's easier than other times. Okay. Now here is where we have to be careful. We don't want, I'm going to redo that one because I didn't want that leaf in. We don't want this to be flat. We want there to be depth, okay? So we want there have just as much depth on the top as we have on the bottom, okay? So I don't want to pull that ribbon or that wire too tightly. I'm just going to pay attention to the side and just pull it down ever so slightly. And then now I'm going to secure it on the back side. So I tend to do this when my stems are just not very, sturdy. You don't have to do it with all of them. Okay, so we have our top piece. Now we're going to add our bottom piece. So we went a little more on the right side with this one. I'm going to try to insert this one a little bit more on the left. Let's see if we can't find a good area. Again, dip it in your glue. This is just one recipe, you guys. So there are so many different recipes you can do with your wreath making, but this is just one of them. And I'm just going to make sure that I don't cover up too much stuff. All right, let's see. Now, this is very straight. Okay, so I'm going to bend it more towards the grapevine, just slightly. And then I have my little pumpkin hiding, so let's uncover him. Anything that gets hidden, we can always cut and just move around. Like, I think this needs to go that way. Here's the center of my bow, and then here are my loops. All right, just like that. And I want the front of my leaves showing, not the back, so we're just going to shift those around. I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to anchor this bottom so that it's not flopping around. You could also just cut it and re-glue it if you wanted to. I'm using the bind wire again. Hi, Phoenix, welcome. Donna likes the airy look, yes. We do have a tutorial for the wreath hanging behind us. That was what we did in our swag masterclass that we hosted last week virtually. So our classes are virtual. You don't have to get out of your pajamas to come participate. If you're an introvert like me, you can stay at home and watch. But our swag masterclass, we did 12 different swags last week, and that was one of them. You can go to fallswagclass.com to see all the other options that we made. All right, now I'm just going to turn my leaf around. That's the other benefit of being a Wreath of the Month Club member, is our members get our other virtual classes almost half. They're either half off or significantly. I think it was $40 this time. They get them heavily discounted. And we were sponsored, that one was sponsored by Greenery Market. Okay, so I've got, look. This is done, like you could end right now, couldn't you? Like you could be done with this. I think a lot of people just put as much of the ribbon in and it looks messy. Yeah, but I think that's the beauty of making your own stuff, right? You decide when is enough, okay? So that's one of the, the benefits of making your own. All right, I really wanted to add these hydrangeas. So let me just look at that. And I want to add also my sunflowers. So what I think I'm going to do is add my sunflowers first, because these are large and you're trying to find room on your wreath in your design. All right, and when I hold that up, it's almost like it's going to be too large. So what I want to do is let's focus on first the sunflowers, and then maybe we divide up our hydrangeas and work them in throughout. All right, so these are the sunflowers that we're working with. There's 2 per stem. Don't be afraid to cut, okay? One of the newest members of our Wreath of the Month Club said she didn't know that you could cut things. She didn't know you could cut and divide and manipulate and change. And yes, you can do all of that. You can even spray paint stuff if you want to. Like, make it to what you need it to be. Make it to the size that you need. All right, these are the larger flowers. All right, larger always means closest to the grapevine. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut that off too, just because it's probably going to be in the way. And then the smaller ones are furthest. I'm sorry, the largest are closest to the bow, and then the smaller are work further out from the bow. So your larger items are more closer to where your focal is, which is our bow, and then you want your eye to go from here that way, and that's when you add your smaller pieces. All right, I only have 2 of these, so let's see where we're going to put these. If you're just a little unsure, you know, I've never made this wreath before, so I'm not sure where I want stuff. You can just place them in and then glue after you know where you want them. Okay, I kind of like that. Okay, and then let's see, maybe this one will be a little closer in. Okay, so let's glue this one first, and this one is going to be trimmed a little bit shorter. Always trim off the little nubs because they get caught in the grapevine, they catch on the glue, they come back, somehow they burn you. The benefit of using a glue pot is when the glue hits my hand, it's not going to blister. There'll be an ouchie, but that's about it. All right, so we've got our first one right here, okay? Notice that it's not facing you. It's facing that way. That's one of the reasons, one of the little tricks that you can do with your silk florals and make it look a little more realistic, because nothing in nature is growing the same exact place. They're like literally growing all over the place, right? So maneuvering and shaping and twisting and turning, it ensures that it looks a little more authentic. Kelly says, I love how you teach. Well, thank you. Maureen, I want to thank you for sending flowers to our member from the group. That was heart-touching. Oh, you're welcome. Yes, that was our honor. I just love our community and our group. When someone is hurting, we're hurting. Okay, so we're just going to move that. See? Isn't that pretty? Already it's starting to look a little different. Like it looked good with just the pumpkins and the sprays, but now we're just elevating a little bit more. Hi, Verlene, how are you? All right, so now we're taking our smaller ones. The stand came from Ladybug Wreaths off of Etsy. And I'm going to move this up here, and it is going to be longer, okay? We want length. If you keep your stems long, that gives the dimension on your wreath. Dimension is what makes that airy look, okay? We want the flowers to pop off of the grapevine. And I'm gonna move that just a little bit that way. All right, so we've got that one there. Okay, and now we're gonna move this one somewhere. Let's go with this one. I'm gonna do the opposite of here. So part of me thinks it should go roughly here. I like that. All right, so let's glue. Again, our Wreath of the Month Club is open for enrollment if you're interested in learning more detailed learning of wreath making. We do deco mesh, we do silk flowers, we do garlands, we do trees, we do arrangements. Look at the arrangement that we made. First of all, here's one. Isn't that spectacular? So here's an arrangement I taught how to make if you're looking for some higher end. This one's actually weighted. Higher end looking designs. When you learn how to use texture and color and learn about shape, you make designs that are elevated, right? They don't look like crafty type arrangements. They look more designer. Then you get more for your, you get more money for them. But all of this was I had to learn this by learning floristry. So that's what I'm teaching you inside of the Wreath of the Month Club, how to be a florist, but using silk flowers. All right, so we've got both of our stems of our sunflowers added, right? Now we want to add our hydrangeas, which were really, really big. A lot of times, Diane says, watching this shows some of what my wreaths are missing. Yay, I'm glad you're getting something out of this. So a lot of times our hydrangeas are just so big, right? And I'm going to show you what I mean. If I divide this, and I'm going to add it to my wreath. Okay, let's just put it there. What will happen is it makes everything compact. And the flower head does just not support. Now, if I was going to use the hydrangeas, I could have put them where the pumpkins were and moved the pumpkins. But I think instead I'm going to take a hydrangea and we're just going to divide it. All right, so we're just going to cut off some of these little floral pieces. I think that's more like it. So we went from a floral head of almost 5 inches to down to like a little over 3, okay? These other pieces, what we can do is secure them with a pick. You can use a wooden floral pick. I'm going to use the steel pick for ease and efficiency and quickness because we're live. Let's see if it's not going to catch it all. We'll have to do another one. So we'll put 2 together. Make sure those flowers are not squished. Fluff those out too so they can see all of the beauty of them. You don't need a steel pick machine in order to be a successful and profitable or crafter of a wreath maker, right? So I didn't have a steel pick machine for many years after I started my business. It is an investment. It is a little on the pricey side. Okay, I'm going to do one more. So we're just going to try to divide this. Let me get a little more length here. These leaves I'm going to keep because the back of my wreath might have some hot glue or wire that I want to cover up. And this is a good leaf to do that. Are y'all liking this tutorial? Let me know. And have you started decorating for fall yet? One, 2, 3, 4. We've got to cut one more. Fall is always the one that I just want to rush. Like I wanted to decorate weeks ago. The 1st of August. My husband's like, I'm not feeling it yet. I'm like, well, I am. What happened to happy wife, happy life? Just saying. But we still haven't done it. But I haven't been burning my fall candles. If y'all are looking for an amazing teachers for making arrangements, wreaths, wax, decoration, Christmas trees, you need to join Julie's group. Oh my gosh, thank you so much, Carlene. Live from New York. Okay, I can't believe I caught you live. Yay! I'm glad you caught me live. You watched me apply my makeup this morning. Yes, needed that encouragement. Yay, I'm so happy. That was definitely out of my comfort zone. All right, being in my bathrobe, applying makeup on a live. All right, I think that this would be perfect right about here, okay? And then let's see where we want to put the other one. It's a little larger, so it needs to be closest to the bow. It could be that we just cut out one of our ribbons in order to make room. Let's just see about it right here, maybe. It feels like it should go there. All right, so let's go ahead and attach this one And just be careful with the little nubs again to cut those off. This is about the length of 7 inches. All right, so I want it to come out of the wreath just a little bit. Whoops. Now I've got to find the grapevine wreath. All right, so when you are attaching your stems to your wreath, you want to go through to the grain of the grapevine. All right, what I mean is take your stem and go through the grapevine. I mean, not through the grapevine, but with the grain of the grapevine. And then anything that needs to be bent into place, you bend it that way. What happens if you go through the grapevine? Let's see if I can find a place to go through. If you go through the grapevine, what happens is you don't have a really good insertion. This is going to be wobbly. The other thing is it's going to be facing you. And then you can still bend it, but what's going to happen is you're going to have all these little picks in the back. So in order to prevent that, you can take it this way, okay? And now you don't have that happening. All right, so let me put that back up here. Why in the world? So when I'm on TikTok Live, sometimes it makes me do these really weird puzzles to keep going. Honestly, who has time for that? So strange. Y'all, if it ends on TikTok, you're just gonna have to watch us over on YouTube. All right, so there's that. Okay, so we've got our main hydrangea added on the top, and now we're gonna add it on the bottom. Okay, I just wanna make sure that my stem's not gonna be too long. So where do I know where to glue? I pay attention, I keep the stem long, but then I pay attention to where I want the color to show, okay? So I want the color of this to show there. I'm gonna make this a little smaller. And then we'll glue. So once you know where the color is going to land, you know how far back to glue. It's now trying to get into the grapevine. Wish it could go just slightly more. There. And then bend it. I'm going to try to bend it into place. Maybe bend it up a little bit more. Okay, so we are going to figure this little ribbon streamer out. Let's go ahead and move it. There we go. Okay, so we've got our 2 larger hydrangeas, right? They're very pale looking, but I still like it, right? Thanks, Alicia. Yes, the Wreath of the Month Club is ongoing, but we only open it up to new members twice a year. So this is the last opening we'll have for 2024, and then the next opening won't be until next year. We do it in the fall and the spring. All right, so now what I want to do is place my rest of my hydrangea bundles throughout. Okay, so we've got one here. I'm going to go over on this side. And I probably could have put these on a little bit more. Let's do one on a pick. That way it's going to be a little taller. So we add wooden floral picks when we want length on our stems. Let me see if I can get this off. Well, we'll save that one for another place. Oh, I've already done them all. Remember me telling you there's nothing we can't fix. All right, so let's just cut that little leaf off. All right, so we have 2 of these. I'm gonna take my wooden floral pick. This is a 4-inch pick. Take the wire from the pick and just wrap it around the base of the flower. You can get floral picks from places like Hobby Lobby or wherever they sell silk flowers. All right, now I'm going to take my floral tape and we're going to pull it. That releases the stickiness in it. And now we're going to go ahead and cover up our our wire like that. And so you can see that we've got a little, like at least 1.5 inches. So we've got more length on this. And that way it'll come out from the wreath. Just a little bit more. I don't want it to be hidden. Okay, so now we can add one right here. I'm going to go back to the one that we tried to glue before. I want to so bad, but we'll wait until September. So the new open to new members closes Friday. Okay, so we've got that. So we've got one there, and now I'm going to put a couple on the sides. We just took our hydrangea and divided it up. So now we can have more flowers. That one's going to be a little bit deeper. I'm going to go ahead and put one over here. Okay, and then now I think I'm going to put one over here. Let's see if I can find the grapevine under my bow. There we go. All right, I think I forgot to fold that. I'm always messing with the bow because as I'm designing, I'm like, okay, I want that bow loop moved. Let's do this. There we go. Okay, do you see what we have? Isn't that pretty? A little different, right? A little different for fall. Thanks, Janie. You're welcome. Go if you're interested, it's learntowreath.com. Just go to learntowreath.com. Come join us before we close the doors. You can cancel anytime. It is a membership group, but you can cancel at any time. We also have an extensive video library of over 800 tutorials. I'm going to start adding a little bit of this in here. So here's another one that's a very bulky, but let's see. Let's do one there maybe. This is a little astilbe. There, okay, so let's go ahead and glue. This just adds another little color that resembles our hydrangeas. So one up there, I'm going to do one down here. We also have a lot of bonuses in our Wreath of the Month Club group, like we've got our flower diary. Everybody really likes that. Okay, just gluing in right here. Make sure I can see it. And then we're going to glue the other one on the other side. But here is an example of our flower diary. We have all of our flowers that we like to use throughout the seasons, and they're labeled by season, but also if they're a focal flower or filler flower, or if they provide movement in the design. We're going to do one more. We need to get some of this down here too. So I've got one more of this astilbe looking plant. What else did I want to add? I'm thinking I might add it here, but then we also could add it over there, but then I'll have a hole right here. I do have one more little flower cluster I can put there. That doesn't look good. Feels like it's going to go here. You know what? We could just also put some ribbon there. Let me just look if I want it here. It's really going to, at this point, I'm like, when I can't decide, it's usually like, okay, there's probably no right or wrong answer here. Just choose. I think I'm going to go here. Let's see if we move that up this way. All right, we're going to go right here with this one. I'm really just paying attention to the balance. So we have, and spacing. We have one here, one here, one here. We have a hydrangea, hydrangea, and then we've got hydrangea, hydrangea, and we have another little cluster up there, and we've got one little cluster over on the side. So don't forget to look, you know, on the sides, because when the door opens and closes, you're going to have areas that need to be covered. All right, so now we've got that added. That looks really pretty. Welcome, Lavon. I've already been a member for a couple of days, and I can already tell you it is the best money I've ever spent. Love that. Love that. We do not sell the book to non-members. Yes. Okay, nice. Look at that. That's so pretty. Now, don't worry about the bow. We can always fix that later. I'm going to look at these. I'm going to add these. So this is a texture element, all right? You can add your grass if you want to add your grass that was on here. You could add that. These are what I call texture. Texture is what elevates the design to the designer pro level. All right, when a design has texture in it, that's usually a sign that you can get a lot more money for your designs when they have that added texture. Making sure that you put a mixture of long and skinny items, like airy items, you know, like this, mass items like the hydrangeas. The ribbon also adds its own texture as well. Notice I did not use sheer. I don't ever use sheer. I'm going to just keep this one long and see. I like the spacing of this already, so it might work just to keep it long, but maybe not. Yeah, we're gonna divide. All of these are wired. Okay, working always from the bow to the end. All right, we're just going to place that one right here. That's cute. Let me zoom in a little bit. We added it right there. Okay. So we added one here. Where else do we need to go? We go opposite. we're going to go down here. Yeah, so we have 4 design coaches in our Wreath of the Month Club, and currently Coach Lorianne should be live in the group making a Halloween swag. All right, so we've got those down here. So we've got here and here. And I'm going to come up this way with this one. So we've got also, so Coach Lorianne, she's in the group as a design coach. We've got Karen Gresham, who does a lot of deco mesh, and also she's also very knowledgeable on craft shows. So you can pick her brain on craft shows. And then we have Coach Terry, who's really good with silk flowers. She does arrangements and wreaths and swags. So we did one here and one here. You see how I'm kind of going back and forth for balance. I'm going to go ahead and add this one here, I think. And I have one more. I think I'm just going to add it over on the side. Okay, let's do this one. I'm going to do it this way, I think. Okay. So remember, at every stage, you can decide enough is enough for you. So it's up to you how much you want to do. I'm just going to maybe add a couple more pieces of greenery. So now we're just going to fill in and make sure our design has got that shape that we're looking for. Remember always to bend and shape. If anybody's over there going to go watch Lorianne, tell her I said, hey, we have 4 videos per week on average. So that's like 20 videos per week. That's a lot. But the thing is, you don't have to watch them all. Like last night, I did an advanced wreath design. And you don't have to, you know, if you're not ready for advanced wreaths, you don't have to watch all of the tutorials. Now I'm going to come over here and put something on this side. And that one's too loosey-goosey. Let me find another place to insert it. Okay. I'm going to come over on this side now. I'm definitely going to miss summer, but I'm going to enjoy fall. Let's get that a little bit closer in. So one of the things we do help you with also in our Wreath of the Month Club group is if you're wanting to sell on Etsy. We have detailed training on that. All right, so we did here. I'm going to go on this side now. That's really long. Let's do one that's a little shorter. Okay. Let's see. Do I want to go down maybe and then bend it? Okay, and then now we're going to do a couple pieces on the bottom. I love the tips. Do you see what I'm talking about with the coloring? It just has that little blush, not blush, but a little tip of the creamy color. Okay, and then let's see, I think there's room for one more. Down on the bottom, maybe one on the top. All I'm doing is making sure that my eye is going to keep within this invisible line that I've created right here, okay? So we've created the rhythm of our design is through the placement of our florals. The closer the stems, the quicker the rhythm. Ugh. Try not to drip the glue on me. It's tricky going upside down. Okay, you could always grab a little piece of moss if you see any glue dripping to catch it. I usually just let it drip. But my floor is okay to drip glue on. Okay, so now I've got one more. I see a little hole at the top, I think. Here it is. I'm wondering if I want it to go here. Do we want it to go here? I'm going to make this a little shorter. Just cut it off if it's too long. Okay. All right. So I think this would be it for the florals. All right. I think we're good. Now from here, I do like to add a little more ribbon. Okay, so I want my eye to continue flowing down. So that's usually when I pull over my ribbon and I cut my ribbon streamers. And you could put a wooden floral pick or you could put a steel pick on it. Just like this. And then add it to the bottom. There's glue strings. Okay, I'm going to also add some more of the white. Let's go over here on this side. All right, and I might do a little ribbon up there just to cover up that steel pick that's showing. Let's see, what kind of ribbon do we want? I'm going to go ahead and use this one. Okay, that's just covering up a little a little pick that was showing. Okay, and step back. Let's do a little of the moss green on the other side. If you wanted to add another loop, at this point you could. Watching from KC. Oh, I'll be in KC soon. I think it's the first week of October, first weekend. My son lives there. Just going to trim that back a little bit more. All right, we have ribbon. You could do another long moss. Right here. And I think I'm going to go ahead and trim this one a little shorter. I think we're good. Maybe one more on the on this side. Put it up on the door, step back, give it a look to see if there's any holes. Ribbon is great for helping to establish the shape after the design is over. See how that just sort of fills in right here. Okay. Let's see, that's really pretty. And then I can also cut this off and hot glue it down if I felt like I needed to. There's also these things we haven't used. Only thing is I only have one of these. Well, let's just use it. Just going to firm up that side a little bit more. Right there. Okay, I like it. That's pretty. What do y'all think? Do you want me to zoom in and show you? So there's that. That's that little lavender bush. We have our hydrangeas that have a little lavender on it. Mini little pumpkins, berries for texture, another little pumpkin, hydrangea, and then we're moving down closer to the bow. So that's where we have our larger flowers, including our larger pumpkins. So now our eye transitions. Well, our eye keeps going, but our placement of flowers transitions. So now we're putting things up towards the ceiling. Insertion, right, changes. And so we have all of that going down throughout. In the end, you can see the long streamers right there. Isn't that pretty? A different color, right? A different color. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure, if this is your first time watching us, give us a follow. Comment below if you have any questions, maybe hashtag replay. You can join the Wreath of the Month Club by, if you're on Facebook, tap the link that's showing on the very bottom under live chat, or go to learn2wreath.com, learn2wreath.com. If you're on YouTube, it is on the top of the chat. And if you're watching over on TikTok, it is in our bio. But learn2wreath.com. If you want to give us a try, come see if it's something for you, right? You cancel at any time. And also DM me if you have any questions. We'll be glad to help you out and answer them for you. But we do close to new members on Friday, okay? So if you're interested in joining, you know, you have until Friday to make a decision, and then we will close it up for new members, and then we won't open again until next year, okay, next spring. And we do that so that we have, we don't have a lot of people coming in and going. We really like to have a tight community, because that's what is really super important for us, is that community aspect of it. Like, you know, Maureen was saying that we sent flowers to somebody who lost her husband. You know, we just love that. And if we have a lot of people coming and going, it's kind of hard to develop those relationships. And so we just like to have it only open a couple of times a year, okay? You guys, thanks so much for coming and joining in and spending the day or the couple of hours with me making a wreath. These are so fun to make. You can make one for any holiday, any season, sell them at craft shows, sell them to your neighbors like I did, sell them on Etsy, or just keep them for yourself. You could also donate them to silent auctions to help raise money, give them this holiday season to your loved ones. So many ways to find your joy with your silk flowers and your wreath making. All right, let me go ahead and end it. Again, virtual hugs to everybody. Thanks again for watching. Bye.